So the most money the government has ever borrowed was during the Second World War. No, it wasn't. That's false.
Thank you very much. You're watching The Right Stuff live on 5 with Simon McCorkindale, Mel Gidroy and special guest comic Reginald D. Hunter. A little later in the programme, we're going to ask if at first you don't succeed, should you try again or just give up? There's a jockey, Anthony Knott, and I want to know if he's an inspiration after winning his first race in 28 years, or is he a damned fool? 0207 173 5555 is the number for your thoughts on that. Same number 2, if you've got something to say on the budget, we're asking, well, actually, I'm asking, is Brown to blame for yesterday's budget from hell? Because I keep thinking someone must be culpable for the state we're in. Even the Queen, as we've heard, is wondering why Gordon didn't see it coming. He was Chancellor for 11 boom years. Not everywhere on the planet has been plunged into recession, by the way. I was hearing this yesterday on the news. They're much better prepared in Australia and in New Zealand and in Brazil and lots of other countries as well. Now, Alistair Darling's pre-budget report yesterday, I think it's fair to say, was a shocker, if only for the picture it painted, which was far worse than anyone expected. We are massively in debt. Our borrowing over the next few years will take us to the worst debt in British history. We need more cash now than we did when America came to our rescue during the Second World War. But why? It's not like we have, well, I suppose we have got a war, and just not on the same scale. Darling's rescue package comes in 2 distinct stages. Before the next election, in 2010, he wants us to spend more to kickstart the economy. So VAT has been shaved, fuel duty and car tax rises are pushed back, child benefit up, pensions up, the 10p tax rebate for lowest earners, that runs on. But critics, especially the Lib Dems, has to say, and they were the first ones to come up with the higher rate tax idea, say more could and should be done to ease the tax burden on the country's lowest earners. And that seems to have chimed with a lot of people on the left and the right wing. The second stage of Darling's rescue comes after the election, by which time he predicts the economy will be back on track. And then it's payback time. With debt expected to top £1 trillion, there are going to be higher taxes for those earning 150k plus. Those earning 40 grand a year or more will have to pay thousands more in national insurance. And these are socialist policies. No wonder the Daily Mail says New Labour died yesterday. And, of course, it means Brown can avoid taking responsibility for those tax rises until after an election. Almost everyone predicts he'll lose, making it a real possibility that those painful payback years will be someone else's problem, Simon. So, what do we think? First of all, is Gordon Brown in any way culpable for this? And then your overview on the budget.
Well, I mean, to say he's culpable, I think, is probably kind of a little over the top. But I mean, he was certainly there holding the purse strings all through this period, and I think there has to be a level of culpability in there. And insofar as there are so many, as you rightly say, countries that are actually far better prepared than we are. I mean, we're not
well prepared at all. That's the bit that came through yesterday.
But we also have to remember, we are at war. We've still got two theatres in which there's a lot of money being spent. Arguably, the Iraq War was something we should never have got involved in, and both us and America are really reeling from the amount of money that we're actually spending and still spending. So as we're trying to do little bits and pieces here and fixing these problems, those problems are just quietly taking money every single day to actually support with no real outplan. And I think an awful lot of what's going on now too is diversionary. What you've got is you've got a Prime Minister who is actually the Chancellor for 11 years, as you rightly say. He's now gone back to being the Chancellor, really, in everything but name. There's no one really running the rest of the ship.
Peter Mandelson is probably running the rest of the country.
Well, and, I mean, I don't know whether you saw on the week on Sunday, but, I mean, Peter Mandelson was very prime ministerial in the way that he actually managed himself. And he does do that very, very well. But it was actually almost like a shift of power. And that also, when you go to talking about New Labour being dead and old Labour coming back to the resurgence, I mean, the images are all there for us to see.
And this two-stage approach to the budget, spend now, good times when everyone's telling us about recession, spend now, cheer yourself up if you can afford it, and then after an election, which Labour may lose unless, of course, their predictions come right. That's the gamble, isn't it? If Alistair Darling is right, the economy's back on track, Labour is in clover. If they're wrong, it's someone else's problem.
The likelihood is that he's not right. I mean, most of the experts are saying this is not going to get fixed in 6 months to a year. This is 2, 3, 4, maybe onwards. So therefore, that's not going to happen. The reason he's saying it in a year is actually because there's a possibility that because they're now in a slightly resurgent position, based on polls, that actually they might go to the country a lot sooner, which is within the next year. So therefore, it's actually being used for political ends to actually get them into the hot seat for another. Are
you happy with that?
Term. No, I'm not. In the
no, I'm not happy with that.
Because I think what will actually happen is we will see tax hikes that will actually take us and take certainly the top earners way into where we were in the 70s, and we'll be looking at 70, 80, 90% for the high earners, and they'll be going out of the country. There'll be all the other things, all those things that we had in the pre-Thatcher years.
Well, let's pick up on that, Mel. I mean, I hope Simon's wrong, but...
Corky is never wrong.
Corky, I'm saying,
Corky should stand for he should stand for Parliament.
Right.
Corky speaks so much sense and looks so good in a suit.
yeah.
Very deep water here.
What do you think of it, Mel? Seriously, it's a serious issue.
We're in absolute freefall, you know, and we've always kind of thought of America as being our sort of, in some way, you know, the saviour that leaps in and saves us when all this is going down the pan, as they did after the war. They're in freefall. Gang, we are in total freefall. But I say that we've got to look at the positive side.
Right.
And maybe good will come out of this. I mean, I think, you know, over the last 30 years, we've become a race, the human race, has just become sort of ridiculous. We're a flaccid bunch of shoppers.
Easy on the flaccid, please. It's a word that I'm not happy with
Consumerism has gone to just absolutely ludicrous proportions. And I think it's going to be time, you know, as I said yesterday, we've all got to tighten the belt, we've all got to pull together a bit. OK, there might be power cuts. You sit and you light some candles and you tell a few stories. So what, you know? I think human beings are kind of strong at their core, and we haven't been challenged, and it's time to be challenged.
So it's a massive rethink for the way we live our lives.
Absolutely, for our Western civilization, as they call it.
Reginald.
Yes, sir.
What do you make of it all?
In America, Barack Obama is president-elect, and it's at a time when America is really in disarray. I mean, not only will he have to deal with the present war and economic crisis, we have to spend a lot of time on doing a lot of stuff that Bush has, you know, set up.
Yeah.
So,
at least you've got the spirit of optimism with Obama there, isn't it? I mean, that is what he stands, which is what we had with Tony Blair. Of course, it didn't lead us anywhere.
Oh, yes, he did, all the way to Iraq. And,
He did.
But, you know, a similar situation where it's looking like in a few years it's going to be a really dire situation over here. And after Obama got elected, people over here often said to me, when do you think we'll have a black prime minister? Looks like about 2011 will be the first. That'll be the time somebody come on in, yeah, you're in control here. It is a really weird system because the people that they're borrowing from, if I understand the stories correctly, is ultimately us later. They're borrowing from the future us, which is absurd.
Yes. Spend now, but we're going to really hit you in a couple of years' time.
It's like when you think about it, it's actually like going to yourself 5 years from now and say, hey, look, man, you know me, you love me, let me have some money.
I tell you what we're going to do. Time is short on this part. We'll see how we go with calls. I think there's probably going to be enough opinion out there to carry it over to the next part. We'll see how it goes. But Amy, who's on the line first?
OK, we've got quite a united view at the moment. We're going to go with Anthony on line 1.
Morning, Anthony.
Yes, good morning.
I'm going to ask two questions of everybody. First of all, I want to know whether you think Gordon Brown is to blame, and then I want to know your overview of what happened yesterday, Darling's pre-budget report. So, Gordon Brown to blame for where we got in?
Well, ultimately, I think one of the US presidents said the buck ends here. Yes, he is, because he has to take that responsibility.
Right. Could have done better, in other words, in protecting us.
That's right. You know, he's the captain of the ship. He must take the blame.
Yeah. OK, and now the overview of what Alistair Darling did yesterday?
Well, I think... I don't think it will succeed. I think the VAT is a joke, because I just don't think, I mean, all the pundits have said the same. You're going to lose £1 here. I
haven't seen a single person say they're going to spend more because of VAT in any report.
That's not going to work. the thing is, he must have seen... well, I'm a secondary school boy, and I saw it coming 2 years ago. I follow political and economic programs. It's my interest. I saw it coming. I told my son, who bought a house recently but at a good price, what was going to happen. And if I can do that on 2 GCSEs or 2 GCEs and an RSA, and this man's the Chancellor of the Exchequer for the last 10 years, then he's been taking money under false pretences.
Yeah.
But the frightening thing is, he'll lose the election, hopefully, next time, but I don't think the Tories are much better. I really don't think Cameron or his crowd are up to scratch.
Anthony, would you want to inherit what could be there for Cameron? Let's say, you know, Alistair Darling's targets are wrong, and all the experts say they are wrong, they're overly optimistic. You inherit massive debt, right? That will be what Cameron will have to pick up. Massive, massive debt. The only way you're going to get that back is through higher taxation, as far as I can see.
Yeah. And if I was...
Go on.
If I was the Tory leadership now, when the election comes up, I'd go on holiday for a few weeks. I wouldn't want to win. I'd say, you made the mess, you go back into power, and you sort it out and take all the flack. I just wouldn't want to win because I don't think they stand a chance.
OK, listen, it's a lovely, lovely thought, a lovely thought. We'll end your call there. As I said, we got loads and loads of calls on this, and it's only fair. I think it's such a big, big issue for the country, for all of us, that we hear more of your calls after the break. Give us a call. Let us know whether you think Gordon Brown is to blame, your overview of the budget as well. 0207 173 5555 is the number to dial. And we'll hear more of your calls after a few more ads. Back in a moment.